Someone made a comment to me the other day over a glass of wine, and it caused me to stop and think about it for a while. Then, a day later, almost verbatim, the comment was made in response to a video that I'd posted. So I'm really sorry if you're the person who made this comment. I didn't record your name at the time, although I did reply to it. You're getting a more extended reply now. So, what was said to me by two very different people in two very different forums was this: the West is getting more communist than China. Wherever you are, welcome to another of my takes on China. And let me explain, first of all, why this comment caused me to stop and think so hard. Because the answer is a lot more complicated than a simple yes it is or no it isn't. Because it depends so much on your definition of communist. One definition of a communist is the kind that has read Marx and Engels. I haven't. One who understands what communist leaders such as Lenin, Stalin, Castro, Mao, and many others have been trying to do, and actually realizes what communism really is. Well, that could be me. The other, Western media definition, has nothing to do with ideology and declares communism to be authoritarian, dictatorial, forcing people to bend to the will of the state and live in abject poverty their entire lives, an autocracy. One is based on an egalitarian society, which admittedly does require a great deal of trust in government, since the government will be the controllers of the destinies of most of the people. The other is based on, well, let's just call them misunderstandings. Because I live in a country that is declared communist, and I see no authoritarianism, no dictatorship other than that of the proletariat, which means the people telling the government what they want, and hopefully the government will deliver and provide what they want, what they need. Certainly, I have a lot of freedom to live my life in the way that I want to, as do all my friends and my Chinese family. I've lived in two Western countries, both democracies, the UK and Australia. And my experience in both is that they are both more authoritarian than here. Now, you might say I get special privileges because I'm a foreigner, a white guy, if you like, and a guest in this country. And that's possibly true, but my wife isn't. Her family aren't. And they seem to get along very well with the government they have. In Australia, we used to nickname the government the nanny state to describe how it imposes rules on us, such as no alcohol on the beach. And if you really want to know how strict they are, do yourself a favor and go and look up the barbecue laws in some states, and I've linked one in the description. Take a look at the alcohol sales restrictions, the bike riding requirements, the occupational health and safety laws, and the rules on inclusion and diversity. Have a look also at the national security laws that exist where you live and compare them to the laws that Hong Kong just imposed. And you'll find if you're in one of the Western countries, those democracies, your laws are much more restrictive. Your penalties are stronger. Now, on the topic of being authoritarian, that would normally mean the police are very strict. So let me give you some real facts about this. In China, the police on average kill one person every 5 years. I've gone back 15 years, I can only find 3 deaths. There was some armed conflicts during that period where trained and armed terrorists were confronted by a special group known as the People's Armed Police. These are the anti-terrorist guys, a little like SWAT squads. They're highly trained, quasi-military, and they're used where firearms or terrorism are present. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about ordinary police officers doing an ordinary job of keeping the peace, preventing crime, detecting it when it does happen. You know, the sort that they say, serve and protect, which is exactly what the police in China do. Now, in the USA, the police on average kill a person every 7 hours. The US has the world's highest population of incarcerated people, with 1.7 million people in prison. Now, China is number 2, with 1.6 million, but China has 4 times the population of the US. Which one is more authoritarian? It's true, Western countries are more authoritarian. They have stricter controls. They oppress their people a lot more than China does. And then, of course, you have democracy, which doesn't serve the people. It gives them little or even no say in how their countries and even their lives are managed. Then yes, this is more of the false perception of communism than China really is. Now, if, of course, we mean the government runs the country according to Marxist and socialist principles, then China is still more communist than the West. But it does include a democratic process which allows people, real people, to have a greater say in their lives. And the country is managed for the people, very much by the people. So no, China is still more communist. And there are two more interesting points. Since the inception of the Communist Party of China, there have been constant moves to maintain and improve the democratic process. Despite what Western media will tell you, Mao was all for democracy. He met with Roosevelt's special envoy in 1943 to lay out a plan where China would become a democracy in the sense that the US wanted it. He signed a 5-point agreement with Patrick Hurley to ensure that, after the war, all the parties which had fought against the Japanese would have a power-sharing structure and move towards elections. The only person who wouldn't sign it was Chiang Kai-shek of the KMT. I don't make this stuff up. It comes from US archives, and I've linked it. A US-based academic paper in support of that. And that paper links to the US State Department's historical archives. Now, the other interesting point is that there's nothing in any Marxist theories or China's constitution, its laws or its policies that say no one can get rich. A walk around any town or city in China will prove anyone can get rich. Real Chinese people leave China for studies. They go on international holidays. They come home richer for the experience. Why would so many people who are experiencing such a terrible life leave and return? For that matter, if China was such a terrible communist place, why would they even be allowed to leave in the first place? So yes, the West is more authoritarian and dictatorial. Not just my own experience, but the overbearing presence of laws to control movements, actions, and society. But no, the West is not more communist than China. What most people get wrong by asking this question is not that the West is changing, but that the definition of communism has been widely misrepresented to give us the feeling that communism is authoritarianism. They're not the same thing. Thanks once again for watching, and please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.